8 teams, over 32 players, and only one team can win. This is the story of the first Dead by Daylight tournament I participated in. So Dead by Daylight is one of the games that, no matter how much I hate it, I will always come back to. One of the main reasons for this is because, right now, it's the top game of its genre. Dead by Daylight came out in 2016, and ever since then, a lot of games with the same genre has been made. But, only Dead by Daylight has had the longevity to survive. The game will often add new content and change the game mechanics, making it feel fresher and always keeps the game changing. For anyone that doesn't know, there are two sides to the game. First is the survivor side, where 4 survivors must work together to evade the killer and try to power the exit gates by completing all 5 generators. There are multiple survivors in the game, and each player can have their own unclassified role or different playstyle. For example, they could completely focus on doing generators, powering through great skill checks and working with other survivors to complete multiple generators at once, or they could focus on distracting the killer, buying as much time for their teammates via techs like looping, 360, or using a flashlight to blind them. Now, if you don't have friends, or have trust issues like me, you could run killer and take out all your frustration over the last 21 years onto any unsuspecting victim. Yeah, that got a little bit real there. That is the most basic form of an explanation I can give about this game, but I suspect a lot of people coming to this video already know how the game works. I wanted to use this platform to tell my story of being involved in Beanie's Oceanic Team Tournament and the 4 to 5 month journey I was on to prepare for said tournament. With that being said, let's begin. So this story begins around mid to late June of 2019. After taking a whole year off of Dead by Daylight in 2018, I jumped back into the game around late January because most of the people in my friend group were getting into it at the time, and they usually needed a 4th. It felt refreshing getting back into the game, playing against the killers I missed out on, specifically Legion, Spirit, and Clown, and the game actually felt fresh to me. I had some great games, made some amazing friends on it, and gave Killer a proper try this time, which made me enjoy the game a lot more. However, by the end of June, I was starting to get burnt out again. Most of the goals I had when I played games anymore were achievements or helping friends get to rank 1, which was nice and I was happy for achieving these results, but they started to drain me out and I couldn't enjoy the game as much as I used to. The only thing I wanted to achieve was getting to rank 1 on Killer, but at the time, I felt like that was more of a punishment than a reward, mainly because of queue times and I was hard stuck in rank 10. Again, I felt like I was ready to take a break. That was until I was told by my friend Bot that an acquaintance of hers was running a Dead by Daylight tournament and she was possibly interested in signing up. She asked if I was up to the idea of participating and I immediately said yes. I hoped that participating in the tournament would give me a bit of fresh air and also new motivation to let me enjoy the game again. So, with that being said, we started recruiting players, specifically Studded Screams, Duskeye BB, and Death, and we registered ourselves to be known as the Queens. Studded, Bot, Death, and Duskeye were going to be the survivors of the group, while I was going to be our killer. Before I go any further, I should go into details of rules, requirements, and specifics about the competition. The tournament was a bracket system where 2 teams of survivors and a killer compete against each other to have the most amount of blood points by the end. Each 2 teams will have 4 games against each other, where both teams get to play survivor and killer twice. The survivors and killers would be decided 24 hours before the tournament begins. Survivors themselves are only allowed to bring 2 perks, with one of them being their specific survivor teachable. For example, if you're Nia, you have to run Urban, Balanced, or whatever fucking last perk is. Streetwise, I don't know. Items and offerings of any rarity are not allowed to be brought into the trial, and the perks No One Left Behind, We're Gonna Live Forever, and Prove Ourselves have been banned as they specifically impact blood point gain. Keys are not allowed to be used unless you're the last survivor alive in a trial, and finally, if a survivor passes through the exit gate, they must leave the gate, otherwise you would have been disqualified. After each game, the survivor's total blood points would have been totaled together and added to the scoreboard. On the other side of the spectrum, killers are allowed to have 4 perks, with 2 of them must be their killer-specific teachable. Only brown offerings are allowed to be brought in, except those that would impact blood point gain. The perks that were banned as well for impacting blood points include Beast of Prey, Hex Thrill of the Hunt, and Distressing. To quickly clarify as well, Barbecue and Chili is allowed as it only affects the amount of blood points going to your account, not your score. Hopefully that quickly clears that up. Finally, depending on the amount of kills the killer gets, the score of the killer would be multiplied. One dead survivor is a 1.1 multiplier, 2 is a 1.2, 3 is a 1.3, and if all survivors are killed, then the score is multiplied by 1.5. I hope all this information makes sense and informed you about the playstyle we had in our matches, as well as the rules and requirements we had to abide by whenever we made a decision about our perks or anything else. As the first team to register, we waited for the other teams to sign up one by one, anxiously waiting to see who would be up against. Then, the brackets were revealed and we found out we would be facing Doing Gen's U, with their team consisting of Cloudy OCE, Baron, Miss Bunny, and McCarty. Fuck. I knew a little about their killer Cloudy from just one game of him as Spirit. He knew who to go for and flow well from survivor to survivor, kill to kill. That sounds fancy, but I'll just say it bluntly. He face camped me and tunneled me fucking hard, so as you can tell, I'm ready to exact my revenge. Nah, in all seriousness, Cloudy and his team were probably one of the nicest teams we could have gotten. Cloudy and started with friends before the tournament began, and they even offered to do some scrims with us, which they honestly didn't have to do at all, but competing in those scrims made us realize how much training we would have to do to get to their level. We were only able to schedule in 2 days a week of training because of conflicting school, study, and work schedules, but they were practicing nearly every night. So, from this, we knew we had a lot of work cut out for us. For the next few months, we had to train as much as possible and as hard as we could, mainly via doing scrims with the team versing me, to decide what strats we need to improve on, as well as what perks for each survivor. For example, everyone would assume Diversion or Deliverance on Adam, but I discovered a newfound love for Autodidact during our training. It wasn't until 1 month before the tournament where we found out that Bot could no longer participate, due to other commitments and not being able to balance the tournament and training anymore. We understood their reasons and we had no hard feelings toward them. Because of this change, however, I had to learn the survivor strats, I would say, 6 to 8 weeks before the tournament actually began. It was stressful, and I won't lie, I nearly contemplated quitting. But my team beat up my anxieties and helped me convince myself that no matter what happened, I was going to try my best and see how far I could improve. Their support helped me so much that, for the first time ever, I hit rank 5 killer. I know it's not rank 1 killer, but this was a huge milestone for me, and I was hoping to ride out this momentum until we won against Doing Gen's U. The date was the 15th of November, Friday night. Beanie hosted a Twitch stream to reveal the killers and survivors we had to play in our matches and the matches following if we win. Me and my team were watching together to see who we'd play as in the tournament and what killers we would play against. Beanie started to pull the wheel for killers at the start. Me and Dusky cried in pain when it was revealed that the match between Freddy's Bitches and Arcane Scourge would involve having a pig, as me and Dusky wanted to go around and, in layman terms, rip the snoo. Afterwards, we found out which killer I was going to play as, with the first spin revealing I would play Trapper. Trapper I was decently confident with, as we all had been playing a large amount of him to complete the recently released Rift. The same can't be said though for the second killer I got, as I found out I'd be playing Hag. Yikes. Hag isn't necessarily a bad killer, but I had little to no experience playing against her, or as her. I believe when I checked my level on her when I started practicing, it was level 12, and according to my Steam achievements, only 34 traps have ever been triggered. So yeah, this was going to be a grind to learn her. I listened to my teammates' recommended perk ideas, and tried my best to attain them so I could practice, which resulted in me using perks I'm not fully confident with, such as Haunting Ground and Third Seal. I had a mostly good experience with her, with me usually either getting no kills at my worst, or most other games I got 4Ks. So by the end of the night, I'd practiced Hag, Trapper, and taught myself the survivor I had to play in the tournament, and was able to get some good advice from viewers and teammates about how to play overall. Overall, learning a killer in 24 hours is rough, but honestly it was very educational as well. With that being said, me and my team were prepared for the game of our lives and we were prepared for a fight. And that's when the day of the tournament came. In the first match, I ran Unnerving Presence, Brutal Strength, Pop Goes the Weasel, and Corrupt Intervention on Trapper. I also kind of forgot I was in a tournament for a bit. I treated it like a normal Trapper game and just wanted to have fun with people I'd befriended in the tournament. But before I realised it, I gave him 4 pallet stuns and was losing gens left, right, and centre. After that, a switch sort of flicked for me, telling me I have to do whatever I can to secure a win. After getting a few hooks, I was able to slow the game down, but not enough to punish him for it. It wasn't until near the end, where I placed a dirty trap in the door frame on Orman that Cloudy ran into, that turned the tide a bit, with me resulting in getting a 2k on him and Miss Bunny. To clarify quickly, when we did our scrims with him, I never got a 2k, so this was already a big improvement for me. In our second game, we had a good start, getting 2 generators done, with one of them involving me throwing out every moral I have, and committing the most atrocious act I know of in Dead by Daylight. Gen tapping. After that, Cloudy was able to regain some control, but we were able to survive as long as we could, with funny moments such as this.
You pulled off me?
Oh yeah, he did. Run, Jake, run.
No, you need to run, trust me.
Ben, wanna meet
No!
me? Oh my god.
He's looking for me and Ben.
He's turning back his run.
Oh my god.
He's going back to you, Sam.
Building, well done. You got Hunkrat and Dust Guy on that last Jenny. Cloudy's gone. Oh, and he's coming. He ain't happy. Pretty sure he saw you, man. He didn't see you! There's no way!
In the end, only Dust Guy and Studded were able to get out, with Def and I dying on hook. It was especially tragic when I found out the hatch was less than 4 feet from me and I couldn't hear it. However, as a match, I would say we did a pretty good job. We showed to ourselves and others that we had a chance to win. So pretty much, after the first game, we were very confident. I was confident. And then, the Hag game happened. I knew I was going to have trouble in this match, but didn't expect to have that much trouble. So from what I remembered, I chased Miss Bunny. A lot. To the point where I believed it would be honestly called tunneling. I knew that because she was billed, the most optimized perk to run on him would be borrowed time. So I kept chasing them, and chasing them, and chasing them, and then I hooked them and you get the point. Because of this, I was able to guarantee the kill, but they were able to get 4 generators done and 3 people were able to escape the map. The perks I ran for the round were Devour Hope, Ruin, Save the Best for Last, and Haunted Ground. I'm not gonna lie, this was a really bad game for me. I knew I was going to have trouble since I learned this killer in 24 hours and still didn't fully understand what makes it work well. I think the main problem and misunderstanding I had about Hag at the time was that she was just a normal mouse one killer. I only placed traps down before chases, not during, and kept falling for loops which, because of her movement speed, went longer than usual loops do. However, I want to also say that I'm not discrediting doing gens because of this. They played well in the match and knew how to communicate and split gen well during my chase with Miss Bunny. I think the one piece of information I'm glad to take away from this experience was the advice given by Beanie during his commentary, repeating what I just said. Don't treat it like an M1 killer, and trapping more during chases, which is advice I've gladly taken. Even though I didn't do well, I can say from this experience I've enjoyed learning Hag, and is probably one of my favourite killers today. And then, there was our final match, where we had to go against Cloudy and his Hag. This last game wasn't my best Survivor game. At the start, I did do decently with a generator, but after a while, it went down for a bit for me. I don't know if it's because the nerves were starting to get to me, or another reason, but I wasn't performing my best during this match, and made a few mistakes for it. Most notably, after Ruin had been popped, I still proceeded to gen tap, not realizing that it had already been destroyed, and lost a little time for it.
He's tunneling Jeff.
Oh. Death coming to me.
He doesn't want the detectives.
Pardon?
He's up. Is Ruin gone, Jack?
Yes, Ruin is gone.
Ruin's gone. Ben said
Where
that
did
earlier.
You're still gen tapping.
Where did he trap
well, I'm still gen trapping, yeah.
Yeah, why are you gen tapping if Ruin's gone? He trapped right in front of me.
Again, this isn't me discrediting Cloudy as a killer. He played very well, and did a tremendous good job that game. But nonetheless, that was our last match. He ended the game with a 4K, killing all of us. And thus, that was the last game of our series.
Hi guys.
Hi, Beanie.
Well done.
Thank
Good
you,
matches.
thank you.
That's all
Thank you.
good. It was good. It was exciting. I enjoyed watching those matches. It was a lot of fun.
Yeah.
Thank you
Hack
for the
games are so intense, man.
Thank
very
you for the advice.
close. Yes, man. Hag, place more traps, please.
No, like,
Please.
if it makes you feel any better, 24 hours to learn Hag.
Oh, really?
You
I'm
jumped
sorry,
in.
man.
No. Don't apologize. Like, you jumped in last night. You saw how I was progressing.
Well,
Yeah.
that's my one bit of advice for you for Hag. Just you can't run her like an M1 killer. You have to place these traps, man.
Yeah.
Okay, but your score's been tallied. You got 158,573.4. Unfortunately, it didn't beat the other team's score, so you won't be going through to the semis.
Yep.
That's all good.
I feel horrible saying that, but
No.
Well,
but
bro,
guys, you
kicking
played.
us out of Big Brother. Jeez.
Yeah, that's what it feels like. But guys, you played really well. I thank you for coming. Like,
Thanks for having us, man.
Thanks for having us,
Setting
yeah.
this up, it was really fun.
we're gonna host more of these in the future, yeah. So you guys
Yeah.
come back, fucking play again. It was great.
Awesome.
Yeah, it was good fun.
Thank you.
But thanks, guys. I'll
Thank you.
see you around.
Yeah,
See you
catch you
later.
later. Good luck with the rest of it. We'll be watching.
Thank you
Definitely.
very much.
So unfortunately, we didn't get through to the next round of the tournament, and the Queens were officially beaten by doing Gen 2. However, I was never down by the result of the match. As I mentioned earlier, I was stressed out and at times contemplating quitting, but seeing the result we did made me really happy. Looking at the amount of blood points from our 4 games, we were just barely in the lead in our opponents with a 1-5-3-1. Now granted, 1-5-3-1 isn't a large amount of blood points, but I wasn't happy because we were beating them. I was pleased because it showed we were playing at their level and that all the training we went through during those 4 months was worth it. I feel like I came out of that tournament a better player, and I'm grateful for the opportunity that I had to improve as both killer and survivor. There are a few things I would like to mention as little highlights and criticisms about the tournament itself. For highlights, I'd say one of my favourite matches to watch was Arcane Scourge versus Freddy's Bitches on Rotten Fields, with the killer being SK as a pig. This match was one of my favourite games to watch, mainly because of how SK worked around the map with his perks and playstyle. Rotten Fields is one of the few maps to only have one basement spawn, a shack in the middle of the map. SK ran Surveillance and Hangman's Trip, perks that I had to run because of the Teachable rule, but also Iron Grasp and Agitation, perks with the aim to drag survivors into the basement and patrol around it to deny the saves. Now see what you will about proxying the basement? It was a smart play, and the result of the match showed it, with Scourge's Wasabi only getting 7,000 points and I beat him only getting close to 3,000. It was an entertaining match for me to witness because I was enjoying the strategies employed by SK to deny as many points as possible. The other highlight for me was watching the semi-final and final matches. Observing the top 4 teams of the tournament play against each other was a bit of a spectacle, and I enjoyed every moment of it. The finals were set with Arcane Scourge going up against Gen Before Friends. In the end, Gen Before Friends, consisting of Devi B, Jimmy, Mick, Venomum, and Uncharted, were able to win the tournament. It was fun watching the matches against Chinese crew Best Crew, Rise, Securitas, Uwu, and the aforementioned Arcane Scourge. Overall, the tournament went well, but I think there's one thing I would change or criticize. With that being said, the one thing I'd redesign is the exit gate rule that was implemented. The rule states that if you pass through an open exit gate, you must leave the game. Otherwise, you'll be classed as holding the game hostage and you will be disqualified. I think the main problem with this rule is that with the addition of endgame collapse, it's difficult to make a game be hostage anymore, with the killer being able to open the exit whenever they please. I like the idea of the risk that survivors must decide upon whether they should go for a save with endgame collapse ticking down. I understand why making the game be taken hostage would be a bad idea. It gives survivors more of a chance to easily max points via methods such as sabotaging, cleansing, farming for hits and more, and gives a good survivor team an easier chance of getting 4 32Ks. Plus, it can slow the game down too much and make matches go on later and later. But I think now with endgame collapse being available and the killer having pressure on a team to deny blood points, I think it might not be a bad idea to allow survivors to make plays with risk them and allow them to run out. I must state again, that this is just my opinion from what I've seen in the tournament. If the organizer Beanie wants to stick to this rule in further tournaments, then I completely respect that. Before I wrap this video up, I would like to say and do a couple of quick things. This next part's going to be cheesy and cringy, but I'd like to do some thank yous very quickly. I'd like to thank Beanie for allowing me and our team to be in the tournament and to host this for us. I very much appreciate it. I would also very much like to thank Doing Gen 2 for doing the scrim matches against us and slightly helping me realize my mistakes and how I can improve. You guys are great. And finally, I would like to thank my teammates Def, Studded Screens, and Dust Guy for just dealing with some of my shit, and just being great teammates and friends overall. I also want to show and post the links of all the streamers and content creators that participated in the tournament. I know it looks like a lot, but trust me, these guys are great and awesome to interact with. They're also much better at DBD than me, so I definitely recommend checking them out. So, what's next? Well, I've signed up for another tournament, specifically a sandbagging tournament. On the day this video comes up, it will be less than 24 hours before my first round matchup against Banner Planner, the Australian Satan, and Sinastra. I know I've got my work cut out for me against them, but no matter the result, I will enjoy where it happens. If these guys are listening, let's have a good match tomorrow. Thank you all so much for watching. To those who have joined us for the first time, I hope you've enjoyed it, and to those who have returned from previous streams or video, we appreciate you for sticking with us. I love you all, and good night.